Tick-tock, tick-tock, do you hear that? It's the sound of your life, precious. Moments slipping away as you hold on to grudges and resentment. But what if I told you there's a way to stop the clock and reclaim your time? What if forgiveness could be your key to unlocking a life of joy, freedom, and endless possibilities? Hey there, my fellow wisdom seekers. It's your favorite enlightenment enthusiast, Matt, here to take you on a wild and transformative journey through the art of forgiveness. Welcome to another episode of where we'll be swapping our grudge-filled baggage for a first-class ticket to inner peace now. I know what you might be thinking. Forgiveness, been there, done that, bought the ticket. But trust me, this isn't your typical self-help spiel. We're about to dive headfirst into the science of resentment, uncover secrets of letting go, and even put our forgiveness skills to the test with a daring real-world challenge in this episode. We'll explore the transformative power of forgiveness through a unique lens. We'll explore the transformative power of forgiveness from a uniquingle, understanding the mind-boggling science behind grudges, sharing hilarious and relatable stories, and embarking on a thrilling forgiveness field trip to put our newfound skills into action. But that's not all. Along the way, we'll be building our very own Forgiveness Toolkit, packed with practical tips and techniques to help us navigate even the toughest grudges and resentments. So if you're ready to let go of the past, embrace the present, and create a future filled with boundless joy and possibilities, then you've come to the right place. Join me on this epic quest for inner peace, and together we'll unlock the life-changing magic of forgiveness. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of forgiveness, let me tell you a little story about my former self. You see, I used to be known as the grudge guru. I was the master of holding on to resentment, nurturing it like a precious bonsai tree. If someone wronged me, I would add them to my mental grudge list, vowing never to forget or forgive their transgression. I thought I was protecting myself, building a fortress of righteousness around my heart. But in reality, I was only imprisoning myself in a cage of my own making. My grudges became my constant companions, whispering bitter thoughts in my ear and tainting every interaction with suspicion and anger. It wasn't until a particularly painful betrayal that I hit my breaking point. A close friend, someone I trusted deeply, had spoken ill of me behind my back. When I found out, I was consumed with rage and hurt. I spent days plotting my revenge, fantasizing it about the perfect comeuppance. But then something unexpected happened. In the midst of mere rumination, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I hardly recognized the person staring back at me. My face was contorted with anger, my eyes hollow and lifeless. I realized that my grudge had turned me into someone I no longer wanted to be. That moment was a turning point. I knew I needed to find a way to break free from the prison of my own resentment, and that's when I stumbled upon the teachings of the Buddha. In the Buddha's wisdom, I found a radical new approach to dealing with hurt and betrayal. The Buddha taught that holding into anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is like releasing that coal, allowing yourself to heal and move forward. It was a revelation for me. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about condoning the other person's actions or forgetting the pain they caused it. It was about choosing to let go of the burning coal of resentment so I could free myself from suffering. Of course, this realization didn't magically erase all my grudges overnight. Forgiveness is a skill that requires practice and patience, but with each small act of forgiveness, I felt a little lighter, a little more at peace. And that, my friends, is how the grudge guru began his transformation into the forgiveness fanatic. It's been a wild and bumpy ride, full of challenges and setbacks, but along the way, I've discovered the life-changing power of forgiveness. So if you're ready to join me on this journey from resentment to freedom, buckle up. In the next few minutes, we'll explore the science of why forgiveness is so hard, and I'll share some practical tools to help you start your own forgiveness practice. Let's do this. Jumping into the practical strategies for forgiveness, let's take a moment to understand why letting go of resentment can be so challenging. Turns out there's some fascinating science behind our grudge-holding tendencies. You see, when someone wrongs us, our brain's threat detection system goes into high alert. Our amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing emotions, sounds the alarm, triggering a cascade of physiological responses. Our heart rate increases, our muscles tense up, and our body is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. In the short term, this stress response can be adaptive, helping us to defend ourselves against potential threats. But when we hold on to resentment long after the initial offense, our brain can get stuck in a loop of rumination and negativity. Studies have shown ruminating on past grievances activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. In other words, every time we replay that hurtful scenario in our mind, we're essentially reliving the pain over and over again. It's like picking at a scab. We may feel a temporary sense of satisfaction, but in the long run, we're only prolonging the healing process. Moreover, chronic resentment can have serious consequences for our physical and mental health. Holding on to anger and stress has been linked to a weakened immune system, high blood pressure, and an increased risk of heart disease. It can also contribute to anxiety, depression, and difficulty in forming healthy relationships. But here's the good news. Just as our brains can get stuck in a negative feedback loop, we also have the power to rewire them for forgiveness and resilience. By practicing forgiveness, we can activate the parts of our brain associated with empathy, compassion, and positive emotions. In fact, research has shown that forgiveness can have a profound impact on our well-being. People who practice forgiveness support lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as greater life satisfaction and emotional stability. Forgiveness has even been linked to improved cardiovascular health and a stronger immune system. So while forgiveness may not come naturally to us, it's a skill that we can cultivate through practice and intention. By understanding the science behind resentment and its impact on our minds and bodies, we can find the motivation to let go of our grudges and embrace a more forgiving mindset. It's time to talk about the practical tools for cultivating forgiveness. I like to call this our Forgiveness Toolkit, a collection of strategies and practices that can help us work through even the most stubborn grudges. The first tool in our kit is what I call the Acknowledge, Empathize, Release framework. This three-step process is a powerful way to work through resentment and find our way to forgiveness. Step on the acknowledge. This means taking an honest look at our pain and the impact it's had on our lives. It's about validating our own feelings without judgment or blame. We might say something like, "I was really hurt when my friend betrayed my trust. It made me feel angry, sad, and scared to be vulnerable again." Step to empathize. This is where we try to see the situation from the other person's perspective. Now, this doesn't mean condoning their behavior or excusing their actions, but it does mean recognizing that they too are human beings with their own struggles and limitations. We might say, "I can imagine that my friend was going through a tough time and wasn't thinking clearly when they acted that way. They're not a bad person, even though their actions caused me pain." Step 3, release. This is where we make the choice to let go of our resentment and move forward. It's about recognizing that holding on to anger is only hurting ourselves, and that forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. We might say, "I'm choosing to release my anger towards my friend. I forgive them not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I'm letting go of this burden so I can move forward with my life now." I know this process is easier said than done. That's why our Forgiveness Toolkit also includes some practical exercises to help us work through each step. For the acknowledged step, we might try journaling about our feelings or sharing our story with a trusted friend. The act of putting our pain into words can be incredibly validating and healing. For the empathized step, we might try a loving kindness meditation, where we cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. We might also try to imagine the other person's perspective and consider the ways in which their own pain or fear might have contributed to their actions. And for the release step, we might try a ritual of letting go, like writing a letter of forgiveness and burning it, or visualizing ourselves releasing a balloon filled with our resentment. Remember, forgiveness is a process, not an on-time event. It's okay if it takes time, and it's okay if we need to repeat these steps multiple times. The important thing is that we're taking action to free ourselves from the burden of resentment. Get ready to flex those forgiveness muscles and watch your world transform. Now that we've got our Forgiveness Toolkit in hand, it's time to take this show on the road. Welcome to the Forgiveness Field Trip, where we'll be putting our newfound skills to the test in the wild world of everyday annoyances and interpersonal conflicts. Our first stop on the Forgiveness Field Trip is the land of minor irritations. You know, those little things that aren't necessarily a big deal, but can still get under our skin and fester into full-blown resentment if we're not careful. For example, just the other day, I was at the grocery store minding my own business when a fellow shopper rammed their cart into the back of my heels. Now, in the past, I might have spun around and given them a piece of my mind, but armed with my Forgiveness Toolkit, I took a different approach. First, I acknowledged my own pain and frustration. That really hurt, and I feel annoyed that this person wasn't being more careful then. I tried to empathize with the other person's perspective. Maybe they're having a really stressful day, or they're distracted by something going on in their life. They probably didn't mean to hurt them. Finally, I made the choice to release my resentment. I'm going to choose to let this go. I don't need to hold on to this minor annoyance and let it ruin my day. And you know what? It worked. Instead of stewing in my anger, I was able to shrug it off and move on with my shopping. It may seem like a small victory, but these little acts of forgiveness can add up to a much more peaceful and positive outlook on life. But the Forgiveness Field Trip isn't just about the small stuff. We'll also be tackling some bigger challenges, like forgiving a friend who let us down or working through a long-held family grudge. I'll be honest, these ones can be a lot tougher. It's one thing to let go of a fleeting annoyance, but it's another thing entirely to forgive someone who's caused us deep pain or betrayal. But here's the thing, the process is the same no matter how big or small the offense. We start by acknowledging our own pain and the impact it's had on our lives. We try to empathize with the other person's perspective, even if we don't agree with their actions. And finally, we make the choice to release our resentment and move forward. It's no tizzy, and it's not always quick. Forgiving a major betrayal can be a long and winding road, with plenty of setbacks and detours along the way, but every step we take towards forgiveness is a step towards our own healing and liberation. And that's what this Forgiveness Field Trip is all about, learning to navigate the twists and turns of forgiveness in the real world. It's about building our forgiveness muscles, one minor irritation and major conflict at a time. The road to freedom starts now. I want to share with you a profound moment that changed the course of my own journey. It was a realization that hit me like a bolt of lightning, a forgiveness epiphany that shifted my entire perspective on what it means to let go. I was in the middle of a particularly challenging forgiveness practice, working through some deep-ed resentment towards a family member who had hurt me in the past. I had been dutifully following the steps of the Forgiveness Toolkit, acknowledging my pain, trying to empathize with their perspective, and making the choice to release my anger, but something still felt stuck no matter how many times I went through the motions. I couldn't seem to find that sense of freedom and peace that I was seeking, and then in the midst of a quiet meditation session, it hit me. Forgiveness isn't about the other person at all, it's about me. It's about my own healing, my own liberation from the chains of resentment. You see, I had been approaching forgiveness as a sort of transaction. I thought that if I forgave this person, it would somehow erase the pain they had caused me or make them see the error of their ways. But in that moment of clarity, I realized that forgiveness is not a bargaining chip, it's a gift that we give to ourselves regard of how the other person responds. This realization brought to mind a powerful story from the Buddha's life. One day, the Buddha was traveling through a village when an angry man approached him and began to hurl insults and accusations at him. The Buddha remained calm and composed, listening impatiently to the man's tirade. When the man had finished, the Buddha simply asked, if someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man was puzzled but answered it would still belong to the giver. The Buddha smiled and said, in the same way, you do not accept your anger and insults, they remain with you. This story illustrates the profound truth that forgiveness is not about changing the other person or erasing the past. It's about choosing to release the burden of resentment that we carry so that we can move forward with grace and ease. When we forgive, we're not saying that what happened was okay or that the other person is off the hook. We're simply recognizing that holding on to anger and bitterness is a heavy load that we no longer wish to bear. We're choosing to set ourselves free to reclaim our own peace and happiness regardless of what the other person does or doesn't do. This forgiveness epiphany was a turning point for me. It shifted my focus from trying to change the other person to taking responsibility for my own healing. It allowed me to approach forgiveness with a sense of empowerment and self-compassion rather than a sense of obligation or guilt. And the amazing thing is, when we approach forgiveness from this place of self-love and inner freedom, it has a ripple effect that extends far beyond our own lives. When we model forgiveness and compassion, we inspire others to do the same. We create a world where healing and reconciliation are possible, where cycles of anger and retaliation can be broken by the power of the human spirit. So I invite you to reflect on your own forgiveness epiphany. What might it mean for you to approach forgiveness as a gift to yourself rather than a demand on others? How might this shift in perspective change the way you navigate the challenges and conflicts of your life? Let's keep this wisdom close to our hearts. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about us. It's about our own freedom, our own healing, our own infinite capacity for love and compassion. And that, my friends, is a truly revolutionary act. Forgiveness is a deeply personal journey, a choice we make to free ourselves from the burden of resentment and anger. But the impact of forgiveness doesn't stop there. When we embrace forgiveness as a way of life, it creates a ripple effect that touches everyone around us and even has the power to transform society as a whole. Think about it. Every time we choose to respond to a hurt or conflict with compassion and understanding rather than anger and retaliation, we're sending a powerful message out into the world. We're saying that there's another way, a path of healing and reconciliation that doesn't perpetuate cycles of violence and harm. And the amazing thing is, this message has a way of spreading, often inspiring others to choose forgiveness in their own lives. It's like dropping a pebble into a pond. The ripples start small, but they keep growing and expanding, touching everything in their path. We see this ripple effect in action every time a public figure chooses to forgive someone who has wronged them, or when a community comes together to heal after a tragedy. These acts of forgiveness may start with one person, but they have the power to shift the entire culture towards greater compassion and understanding. One powerful example of this is the story of the Forgiveness Project, a UK-based organization that collects share stories of forgiveness from around the world. One of their most famous stories is that of Azim Kamisa, a man whose son was killed by a teenage gang member in a senseless act of him. Despite his unimaginable grief and anger, Azim chose to forgive his son's killer and even reached out to the young man's grandfather to start a foundation dedicated to ending youth violence. Through their work, Azim and his foundation have touched countless lives, inspiring young people to choose nonviolence and fostering healing and reconciliation in communities torn apart by conflict. Azim's choice to forgive didn't just transform his own life, it created a ripple effect of compassion that continues to spread to this day. And this is just one example among many, from restorative justice programs that bring victims and offenders together to heal, to grassroots movements for peace and reconciliation in war-torn countries. The power of forgiveness is being harnessed to create real, tangible change in the world. So my friends, as we continue on this journey of forgiveness, let's not underestimate the impact that our own choices can have. Every time we choose to forgive, to respond with compassion and understanding, we're not just healing ourselves, we're contributing to a global shift towards a more peaceful, more compassionate world. It's not always easy and it's not always quick, but the forgiveness ripple effect is real and it's powerful, and it all starts with us, with a simple but revolutionary choice to let go of our resentment and embrace a new way off bung. So let's dream big, my fellow forgiveness revolutionaries. Let's imagine a world where forgiveness is the norm, where conflicts are resolved with empathy and understanding, where cycles of violence and retaliation are replaced by cycles of healing and reconciliation. It may seem like an impossible dream, but every great change starts with a single ripple. The revolution starts now. Now it's time to take this journey to the next level. It's time to put all of our newfound wisdom and skills into practice and create some serious forgiveness momentum out in the world. And that's where the Forgiveness Challenge comes in. Here's how it works. I challenge each and every one of you to commit to a daily forgiveness practice for the next 30 days. It doesn't have to be big or complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths and silently offering forgiveness to someone who's hurt you in the past, or practicing a loving kindness meditation to cultivate compassion for yourself and others. The key is to make forgiveness a regular part of your daily routine. Like brushing your teeth or getting in your daily steps. By committing to this practice, you'll be strengthening your forgiveness muscles and creating a powerful habit of letting go and moving forward. And here's the best part, you don't have to do this alone. I invite all of you to join our online Forgiveness Revolution community, where you can share your progress, get support and encouragement from others, and even inspire someone else to take on the challenge with your own forgiveness stories. Imagine the collective impact we could have if hundreds or even thousands of us were all practicing forgiveness every single day. Imagine the ripples of compassion and healing that would spread out into the world, touching lives and transforming communities in ways we can't even begin to imagine. And who knows, maybe your own forgiveness journey will be the spark that ignites a global movement of compassion and reconciliation. Maybe your story will be the one that inspires someone else too. Choose forgiveness over resentment, peace over conflict, love over fear. So my friends, are you ready to take on the Forgiveness Challenge? Are you ready to join the ranks of the forgiveness revolutionaries and help create a world where forgiveness is the norm, not the exception? If so, I invite you to take that first step today. Make a commitment to yourself, to your own healing and freedom, to practice forgiveness every day for the next 30 days. Share your pledge with our online community, and let's cheer each other on as we embark in this transformative journey together. Remember, forgiveness isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up for yourself and others with an open heart and a willingness to let go. So be kind to yourself, take it one day at a time, and trust in the power of small, consistent actions to create big, meaningful change. And as you go forth on this forgiveness challenge, always remember, forgiveness is a choice, a gift, and a revolutionary act. By choosing forgiveness, you're not just changing your own life, you're helping to heal the world one compassionate ripple at a time. So let's do this, my brave and beautiful forgiveness warriors. Let's show the world what the power of forgiveness can do. The challenge starts now. Are you in? Well, my friends, we've reached the end of our forgiveness journey together. And what a journey it's been. We've laughed, we've cried, we've faced our deepest grudges and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than ever before. As I look back on my own path from grudge guru to forgiveness fanatic, I'm filled with a sense of gratitude and awe. Gratitude for the teachings of forgiveness that have transformed my life in ways I never could have imagined, and awe at the incredible power we all have within us to choose love over fear, peace over conflict, freedom over resentment. But here's the thing, my wise and wonderful friends, this journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just the beginning, because the real work of forgiveness doesn't happen in a YouTube video or a social media post. It happens out there in the world, in the choices we make and the actions we take every single day. So as we come to the end of 4 time together, I want to leave you with a few parting words of encouragement and inspiration. First and foremost, remember that forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It's not about achieving some state of perfect peace and tranquility, but rather about committing to the daily practice of letting go again and again and again. There will be days when forgiveness feels impossible, when the hurt and anger feel too deep to overcome. But in those moments, remember that you have all the tools and wisdom you need to keep moving forward. Remember the power of acknowledging your pain, extending empathy and compassion, and making the choice to release your resentment. Remember that every small act of forgiveness is a victory, a step towards your own healing and freedom. And most importantly, remember that you are not alone on this journey. You are part of a global community of forgiveness revolutionaries, all working together to create a world of greater compassion, understanding, and peace. So reach out for support when you need it. Share your own stories and wisdom with others, and never underestimate the power of your own ripples to create change. And now, my friends, it's time for me to pass the torch to you, because the real forgiveness revolution doesn't start with me, it starts with each and every one of you. So here's my challenge to you. Take the Forgiveness Toolkit we've built together and put it into practice. Every single day, make forgiveness a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to extend compassion to someone who's hurt you, share your journey with others. Whether it's through our online community or in your own personal circles, inspire others with your stories. of forgiveness and transformation, and invite them to join the revolution with you. And most importantly, never give up on the power of forgiveness to change lives and transform the world. Keep spreading those ripples of compassion, one act of forgiveness at a time, and trust in the incredible impact you can have. So my wonderful friends, this is Matt, signing off for now. It's been an absolute honor and joy to be your guide on this forgiveness journey, and I can't wait to see where your own path takes you. Remember, forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about your own freedom, your own healing, your own boundless capacity for love and compassion. So keep choosing forgiveness every single day. Keep being a revolutionary of love in a world that so desperately needs it. And always stay curious, stay compassionate, stay courageous, because that, my friends, is the true art of wisdom. Until next time, keep shining your beautiful light in the world. The forgiveness revolution starts now, and it starts with you. Namaste, my amazing beings of love and light. Keep on forgiving.